Daisy, this is I didn't start the recording of talking about the exam guide, so I thought I'd re-record this first section, which I forgot to record. Um, so here's your exam guide. I've got a printed copy for you. It's a 90-minute exam. You've got 5 minutes reading time. I've made notes on your copy here as well. There's a couple of things that it should say here. Section 1 contains 2 questions requiring short response to stimulus material provided. These 2 questions are worth 12.5 marks each, and section 2 down here is worth 25. So you've roughly got to spend a quarter of your time on each question and half of your time on this section 2. So just as far as planning out how much time you spend on different questions, just be aware of that. So in section 1, and this is the same sort of format as the actual HSE exam, in the actual HSE exam, you get 3 questions. I'm just giving you 2 for the time being. I'll show you an example of what a section 1 question looks like. You get typically a question. You'll get an image. They call them in the HSC a plate. So this is plate 1. If there were 2 images, this would be plate 1, and the next one would be plate 2. You can just refer to plate 1, plate 2 in your response to save time. That goes back to the traditions of printing. You'll be given at times some text. It might be background information about the artists or something that typically relates to the question. So you can think of these questions, especially in section 1, as comprehension questions where you're given quite a bit of information. What you need to bring is particularly your understanding of the syllabus. So this question relates to the cultural frame. So you come to the exam, and because you're a good student, you already have a good idea about what the cultural frame is. So for example, it can relate to things like race, gender, class, ethnicity, things like that. So you'll talk about those sorts of things in your response. So this is an example of a section 1 question. As I said, you're provided with a question, sometimes text and an image or images. You can also be provided with multiple artists where you might be, for example, be asked to compare and contrast the 2 different artists in some respect. What else do I need to tell you? So yeah, section 1 has 2 questions, like the one that I just showed you, not that one that I just showed you, of course, and they're worth 12.5 marks each. Section 2, I know I say it in the next video, but I just want to really reinforce this. This actually is, that's wrong, and I've corrected on your copy. Section 2 contains 3 questions, and you respond with to only 1. You've got 3 questions, and they're pretty general questions about things like artist practice. In fact, 2 of the questions relate to artist practice, and 1 of the questions is kind of a grey area. It's somewhere between artist practice and conceptual framework. You could use aspects of both of those, or you could just kind of answer it in relation to artist practice or conceptual framework. So you choose one of those 3 questions, and importantly, I know I say this in the next video, but I'll just reiterate it. Importantly, you answer the question with the knowledge that you bring about an artist that you've studied in depth. So think about the presentation that you did earlier in the, let's see, term 1. Study that artist inside out. Make sure you know 3 artworks. Yeah, what am I thinking? 3 artworks, quotes hopefully about the artist or by the artist, you know, some biographical information. You bring in that background knowledge about that artist so that you can just answer one of those questions. Yep, I'll cover all that in the next video. So that's just a little catch up on this section. In the next video, we talk about section 2 and what you have to do for that.